Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you happen to be. My name is Eddie Stern, and this is the Conscious Breath. We are in episode number 12 of this 12-part series, so we've come now to the last of our classes, and I hope that you have enjoyed them so far. I certainly have enjoyed teaching them and putting all of this information together for all of us. So we'll let folks go ahead and sign on little by little, and then we will get started with our final class of the series. For everybody who is just joining in today and was not here for the earlier classes, you can watch them all on the Chopra Well on YouTube, as well as on Deepak Chopra's channels, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn, and they can all be seen there. But the entire series can be seen on the Chopra Well on YouTube. And again, this is episode number 12. So, the practices that we are going to do today are going to continue where we left off from the last class. We're going to do just 3 or 4 simple practices today and a little bit of recap from the earlier lessons. And then there'll be some following up information for what you can do next and how you can continue your learning and continue with these practices. After this series is finished, we will take about a 10-day break or something in that area, and then we'll start another series. It will be a shorter one, just of about 6 classes or 6 videos, and it will mainly be focused on breathing for lung strengthening, lung elasticity, and dealing with COVID and some of the research that has been done in COVID, and how particular breathing practices could be helpful as a if not as a preventative, at least for general health, for reducing stress and all sorts of things like that. So today will be the last of the conscious breath, and then in about 10 days we will start a 6-series video course of breathing for COVID. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and begin? A couple of people said there's a little bit of a sound problem. I think the sound problem might primarily be through because of the background noise of trucks and things like that. Okay, so the Chopra Well is the name of the station on YouTube. It's CHOPRA, and the second word is WELL, Chopra Well. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin now. We're going to start with the preparatory practices that we have been doing each week. And the first one is going to be simply doing abdominal breathing, resting your hands on your belly. So I'll just point the camera down a little so you can see my hand and how I do this. I'm going to put one hand right over the belly button and another hand directly on top of that one. And I'm going to rest my belly out into my hand and inhale. And then as I exhale, I'm going to pull my belly towards my spine, away from my hands. So now my belly's not touching my hands. It's pulling a little bit away. Hold on, let me see. Let's see if that makes the sound a little bit better. Okay, so we'll inhale and let the belly come out into the hands. And then exhale, pull the belly in towards the spine. Inhale, let the belly rest out into the hands. And exhale, pull the belly away from the hands in towards the spine. Okay, inhale, let the belly rest out into the hands. And exhale, pull the belly away from the hands in towards the spine. Okay, so just keep going like this, inhaling, letting the belly come out. Exhale, the belly pulls back in. But you're not moving your hands. All you're doing is moving the belly. And try to breathe through the nose as much as possible. If you need to inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, that is okay. But if you can breathe through the nose for the most part, that would be better. Okay? So carry on like this. I'm sorry that the sound is not so great for some people. It looks like on LinkedIn, for some the sound is okay. For others, it's not okay. We'll just have to do the best that we can with the sound as it is, okay? So, feeling the belly move as you breathe, but not moving your hands. That's the first warm-up practice. Okay, the second practice is we're going to move the hands now to your ribs. My waist, these are my hips, waist, and ribs. And I'm going to try to put the hands all the way up on the ribs. And as you inhale, your ribs are going to move out to the side. And as you exhale, the ribs are going to come back down and in. Inhale, let the ribs come out to the sides. And exhale, push the ribs gently back in. Inhale, the ribs come out to the side. Exhale, slowly the ribs come back in. See the eyes or keep them open, and just keep your awareness on the movement of the ribs into the palms of your hands. Okay, that's all we're doing. Your ribs are moving like the wings of a bird as you breathe in. And then as you exhale, the ribs come back down. One more time like this, inhaling. And exhaling. Okay, this should be calming. Let your hands rest back down onto the knees. And now as you breathe, you're going to inhale high up into your nasal cavity, near where the sense of smell is, the olfactory nerves. So you imagine or flavor that you particularly like. And exhale slowly. So your awareness is staying high in the nasal cavity, near the sense of smell. And you can do this one after food, but not the one that we do next. Okay, so see if you can have this sense of breathing high into the nasal cavity. And now we're going to try to combine all three areas where we were breathing. So you're going to inhale high into the nasal cavity. Feel the breath come down into your lower ribs. And then feel the breath come into the lower belly. Okay, so we're going to go for the high in the nose to the ribs, down into the belly. And then when we exhale, we're going to exhale from the belly, up through the ribs, out through the nose. Okay, we'll try this 4 times. Inhaling high into the nasal cavity. Expand your ribs and then the belly. And then exhale the belly in, the ribs, and then high in the nasal cavity. Inhale high in the nasal cavity to the ribs and belly. Exhale from the belly, ribs, and nasal cavity. Try 2 more on your own. Having a sense of these 3 distinct areas of shape change in the body as you breathe. And then the last one. And exhaling. Belly, side ribs, and nose. Okay. Now we will move on to the first practice of Kapalabhati. These here were just our warm-up practices that we were doing. So the Kapalabhati practice, we've been doing that each week. For those who haven't been here during the earlier weeks, the belly breath that we started off with, breathing into the abdomen and then pulling the abdomen back in, is Kapalabhati, but we do it quicker, like if you were blowing your nose. And I'll demonstrate for you. Okay, so this is the Kapalabhati. It's a cleansing breath. You exhale and pull the abdomen gently in as if you're blowing your nose, and then you relax and you inhale. Okay, so you exhale out through the nose, like you're blowing your nose, and then you relax and you inhale. So we're going to do this 20 times together, and then we're going to inhale through both nostrils, a long, slow inhale, and then we're going to close the right nostril with the thumb and exhale out through the left nostril. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin. Inhaling, and begin the pumpings. A long exhalation, and now inhale to the back of your throat, making a hissing sound. Close your right nostril and exhale out through the left nostril. Rest your hand on your knee, and then breathe 2 times through both nostrils. Okay, so this practice is okay for everyone to do, except if you happen to be pregnant, if you have a hernia or recently had hernia surgery, or if you have any severely high blood pressure. For most other people, this should be okay. Okay, so we're breathing through the nose, pumping the breath out. Second round. Inhale. And begin 20 pumpings. Long exhalation. Inhale to the back of the throat through your nose. Make a hissing sound. Close your right nostril. Exhale through the left side quietly. Rest your hand on the knee. Breathe through both nostrils 2 times. Third round. Inhale. And 20 pumpings through the nose. Begin. Long exhalation. Inhale to the back of your throat through both nostrils. Close your right nostril. Exhale through the left slowly. Relax the hand onto the knee and breathe through both nostrils. So this is a cleansing breath and an energizing breath. You can do this during the day if your mind feels a little cloudy, or if you feel that you need to brighten up the mind because you've been thinking too much or working for too long or in front of a computer for too many hours. You can do this in the morning time when you get up to energize yourself for the day ahead. You don't want to do too many rounds. Between 3 rounds, maximum 5 is okay. But make sure that after you do this, you do some calming breaths also, which are the ones that we're going to follow with next. So one of the breathing practices we've been doing is resonance breathing, where we inhale for 5 or 6 seconds and we exhale for 5 or 6. And today we're going to do this resonance breathing combined with alternate nostril breathing. So the way this will work is we're going to inhale through our left nostril for 6 seconds. We're going to close the nostrils and hold the breath for 6. We're going to exhale through the right side for 6 seconds. We're going to hold the breath out for 6 seconds. We're going to inhale for 6, hold for 6, and exhale out the left for 6. This is a breathing practice which is balancing for the branches of the autonomic nervous system. The finger position we're going to use is called the Nasika or the Vishnu Mudra. So you can make a fist with your right hand, extend your thumb, and then extend your ring finger and your pinky so you can touch your thumb. Okay, so it looks just like this. And my thumb is going to press on my right nostril, right on the outside of the nose. And my ring finger is going to press on the outside of the nose on the left side. So right in this area where if you trace the outside of your nostril when it dips in, that's the area that we're holding on to. Okay? So let's try with a 5-second count. We're going to do 3 rounds to start. Place your thumb on your right nostril. Inhale for 5 seconds. Close the nostrils for 5 seconds. Exhale out the right side, lifting your thumb for 5. Hold your breath out. Inhale through the right for 5. Close the nostrils and hold. Lift your thumb, exhale left. Hold the breath out. Inhale through the left. Close the nostrils and hold. Lift your right thumb and exhale. Hold the breath out for 5. Inhale through the right. Close the nostrils, hold the breath in. Lift your thumb and exhale. Inhale through the left. Close the nostrils and retain. Exhale right. Retain. Inhale right. Close and retain. Lift your thumb, exhale left. Rest your hand on your knee and breathe. Okay, we will do 2 more pranayamas today. The first one is called Brahmari. This is the humming bee. This is a really important pranayama practice to do. It's very calming for the mind. It is stimulating for the nasal cavity and helps to stimulate the production of nitric oxide, which is an anti-inflammatory molecule produced in the nose and in other places in our physiology. Blood vessels as well are producing nitric oxide. The way this pranayama is done is we inhale through both nostrils and exhale, making a high-pitched humming sound like a bee, like a humming bee. And we can also close the ears by pressing the thumbs in here and the fingers over the eyes. And what this does is it keeps the sound of the humming deep in the skull cavity, so the brain basically is getting massaged by this humming. And again, it's very calming, and in the nose it helps to produce nitric oxide, which is an anti-inflammatory molecule. Okay, so let's try this together, and then I'll take questions about the pranayamas after we finish. Just going to do 2 simple practices. If that second practice of breathing through the nostrils was a little tricky, this one should most likely be easier for you. So inhale through both nostrils, close your ears and the fingers over the eyes, and exhale, making a high-pitched humming sound. And then rest the hands on the knees. Okay, so we're going to do this 4 more times. You're not closing your nose. The nose stays open, and don't press the fingers too hard on the eyes. Just let the fingers gently rest over the eyes. So 4 more times on your own. I'll be doing it too. Inhaling. When you're finished, rest the hands on the knees and breathe. The very final practice that we're going to do is inhaling through both nostrils and then exhaling through the left nostril. Now, the mudra which is usually done for this Brahmari pranayama is called the Shanmuki Mudra. Shan means 6, and Mukhi is the face. It's a little trickier to do, but you can try it if you'd like to. So we can take one moment to do this before we do the last one. And the way the Shunmuki is done is your thumb comes into the ear. Just watch first. Your first 2 fingers go over your eyes. Your middle fingers connect below the nose and the pinkies below the lips. And so the point below the lips here and the point right above the lips here, in Chinese medicine, this is called the governing vessel and the vessel of conception. And in the yogic systems, this is also where prana and apana are joining, completing a full cycle of energy through the spine. When you press on the ears, you're stimulating the vagus nerve, and when you rest the fingers on the eyes, you're also stimulating the vagal nerve nuclei, the vagus nerve that attaches to nuclei coming towards the eyes here. So this is calming for the vagus nerve or the vagal nerve complex, and these fingers here are helping to balance the flow of energy that's circulating up and down through the spine in a circular pattern. So for those who are comfortable with that, you can do the Shunmuki Mudra, but for folks who aren't comfortable with that, you can just put your thumbs in your ears and close your fingers over your eyes, and that works quite well too. Okay, so yes, these are tapping points as well. There's a lot of interesting things going on with all of these different points. So that was the Brahmari pranayama. So the very last practice we're going to do is inhaling through both nostrils, closing your right nostril, exhaling out through the left side, and exhaling, keeping the breath very, very silent. This is a very calming pranayama. So let's inhale gently together. Close the right nostril and exhale silently through the left, like you're just letting go of the breath. Inhaling through both nostrils when you're ready. Closing the right, exhaling through the left quietly. Inhaling both. High in the nasal cavity. Exhale silently through the left. Last one, inhaling through both, high in the nasal cavity. And exhaling through the left nostril. Rest the hand on the knee. Breathe quietly and silently. Feeling the mind grow quiet. And through the breathing practices, we are trying to not just slow down the flow of the breath, but through slowing the breath, we slow down the speed of the mind. So as the breath moves, the mind moves. And as the breath becomes slow, the mind becomes slow and quiet as well. See if you can just observe the breath now and try not to manipulate how the breath comes in or goes out. Just let it follow its own pattern now. And then to finish, we'll breathe in a long, slow inhale and a long, slow exhale. Okay, so that is our practice for today. We did the preparatory practices, and then after the preparatory practices, we did Kapalabhati for 3 rounds, followed by 1 Ujjayi Pranayama. And then we did alternate nostril breathing in the resonance frequency of inhaling 5, retaining 5, exhaling 5. Then we did Brahmari Pranayama, 5 rounds, the humming bee breath. And then we followed by inhaling through both and exhaling out through the left, which is a very calming pranayama. Now, for those of you who felt that it was a little bit lopsided, only breathing through the left, you can inhale through both and exhale through the left. Inhale through both, exhale through the right. And do that 4 or 5 times, and then you can finish. Okay, so that is our sequence for today. We're going to wrap up with a little bit of the discussion to follow up from where we were last time. And then we'll take questions. Okay, so any questions that you have, please hold them for the next few minutes, and then you can put them back in again. So one of the things that we should conclude with is the recap of the idea of what pranayama is. Pranayama isn't simply breath work or breathing practices. Pranayama is the yogic science of extending our vitality through modulating the flow of our breath, because life and breath are, of course, connected. And the rhythm of our breathing, how fast or slow it is, if it's interrupted, if it's deep, if it's shallow, if it's calm, are following along with the rhythms and patterns of our life as well. If things are stressful, our breath might become sharp, or we might hold the breath. It won't be free and flowing. And when we're relaxed and calm, then the breath becomes very smooth and quiet. So, and of course, when we're stressed out and creating situations of, say, inflammation in the body, then we also are a little bit shortening our lifespan and our vitality, our energy. But when the breath is calm and slow and deliberate and stress levels are lower, inflammation levels are lower, then our life extension is possible. Our life flows a little better. And this is a rhythm that we can establish consciously. So we can extend our vitality, hopefully perhaps extend our life and our quality of life through extending the breath. And so that's one of the things about pranayama, but not the only thing. In order to do that, we have to follow certain rules. And the rules are so that we don't cause harm. And we'll recap those rules before we close this class. One of the reasons for the rules is that our respiratory rhythms are programmed into our nervous system to protect us. Our nervous system is maintaining the functions that that our life operates on. So the maintenance of life, the maintenance of our responses to the environment, our perception of stress, our ability to self-regulate are all tied into our nervous system. So we don't want to throw those things off. We want to enhance them. So in the same way that you can exercise too hard and strain a muscle or burn yourself out or become exhausted, we can do the same thing with our nervous system in pranayama. So we don't want to do too much. We want to do just the right amount, that we maybe give a little bit of a challenge to us, but we don't exhaust ourselves with too much breathing. So for the beginning levels of pranayama, such as the ones that we're doing here, our goal is basically to enhance all aspects of our lives, our connections to the people in the world around us, and to be able to self-regulate our levels of stress. All of this can happen when our mind is calm, when the nervous system is in an equilibrium, and when we feel receptive. So when we're not receptive or responsive, then we're reactive to the world, and we get really defensive quickly, or we get offensive very quickly. And all these things are symptomatic of the nervous system being in a state of stress. But when we calm everything down and we become in a state of receptivity, then not only does the tendency towards overreactivity lessen, but we can listen better to ourselves and to our needs and to what we need to be focusing on. And we can also listen better to the people around us, and therefore have better relationships, interpersonal relationships. So the purpose of this 12-week course has been to give you the practical tools of entry-level pranayama that can begin to make all these different types of improvements in your life, in your stress levels, in your ability to manage when you feel that you're thinking too much, when you need to energize yourself, when you need to cool or slow down, that you have some more tools to do that. Now, the higher levels of pranayama are for moving into states of meditation. The deepest stage leads towards, of course, self-realization or liberation or enlightenment from the bondage we have to our identities, names, forms, opinions, criticisms, the stories that we tell about ourselves, all the things that are obstructing us knowing who we truly are. So pranayama is essentially the practices that prepare for us to move in those directions. But on the road to something like liberation or enlightenment, which frankly I have no experience with, we need to integrate ourselves in other ways. So we have to have an integrated sense of self, an integrated sense of identity, an integrated and balanced nervous system, so that we are in touch with the things that are happening in our minds, in our emotions, in the way we respond to the world. And through understanding our mind, understanding things about our faults and how to work on them, we can then begin to kind of clean up our act. If we have some rough edges, we can begin to smooth them out. But until we can identify our rough edges, we don't really know how to work on them. And pranayama is a reflective practice that begins to show us the things that we need to work on. So if our nervous system is calm and in an equilibrium, then we can much more readily have this inner sense of who we are, what our rough spots are, and how we can smooth them out and work on them. Okay, so this is essentially what we've been doing and what we've been discussing. And so what are some of the rules? Well, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, which we spoke about in our last class, gives 6 rules for the things which give success and give failure in yoga practice, including pranayama. So the things that give success are enthusiasm, courage, perseverance, a thorough understanding of the principles we should be practicing, a determination to do them, which means to be consistent, and to avoid the company of people who discourage us from doing these practices. And then the 6 things that are going to impede our success are, number 1, overeating, because then it's hard to breathe. Number 2, overexertion from work or exercise, because then we don't have energy to practice. Gossiping or talking too much, because that makes the mind overactive and overreactive. And if we gossip about people or we're talking and criticizing too much, then we start to get negative and we start to think, oh, I'm better than all those people and my position is right and the way I think about things is right. When in fact, there are many different ways to look at pretty much a lot of issues in the world that we might have strong opinions about. We want to avoid severe austerities that weaken us, like too much fasting, or not sleeping enough, or too intensive practices. And next, the thing that will not give us success or lead to failure in yoga is no consistency. If we don't have a consistency and steadiness in practice, we don't see progress. And the last is keeping company of people who discourage us from practicing. So we have to be very careful of people. The yoga texts say this twice in this particular particular text, which means that it's something to really take into consideration, that the people we spend time around have a direct impact on our ability to accomplish the things that we need to or want to accomplish. So what are the takeaways that we have from this? Number one, regularity. Pick the minimum amount of practice that you can do every day and try to stick with it. If some days you do a little more or a little less, that's okay. But don't do a whole lot one day and then nothing for a week. Try to do a little every day, even if only 5 minutes. Number two, try to adhere to a sleep schedule the best you can. It's important to be regular in our sleep because this has a very big impact on the way that our hormones and other chemicals and molecules are released in the body. Our body is made on rhythms. It's made up of patterns. And if we listen to and respect these patterns, we can really maximize our health, our strength of mind, our creativity, perhaps our lifespan, and all other quality of life types of issues. Next, try to choose a time of day where you can practice every day, even for a few minutes. Whether it's early in the morning, middle of the afternoon, or in the evening, pick the time that you can do regularly, because that's another rhythm that you'll be establishing for yourself. And your body and your nervous system and your memory will respond to this. So it's not just that we have a pattern and so we form like this new habit and then we do it all the time like that. We have a memory associated with how and when we do things. And so the memory, when we strengthen it, is always there as a reminder. So a body memory or nervous system memory might be that if you meditate every day at 6 a.m. for 5 minutes, after a few weeks, your body will have a memory of this. And at 6 a.m., you'll naturally feel yourself being pulled to be quiet for a few minutes because that is the rhythm that you've established. So the more we keep regularity, the more we develop this body memory, a nervous system memory. And our body will remember, oh, this time period is coming. Now I'm moving into quiet or I'm moving into practice. We have mechanisms within us on a cellular level where we're tracking the movement of the sun and the moon in day and night. That's how we know how to sleep and get up at certain times. So our body has a memory clock for the different hours of the day, like when it's time to eat, for example. So trust this memory and trust the clock of your body and try to establish a rhythm so that your memory, the body memory, naturally goes to do these things when the time is called for. Okay, it's a wonderful thing to do, and you'll see differences after 3 or 4 weeks. Try to keep the place where you practice the same each week, each day. Keep it clean and uncluttered. If you want to keep a candle or a picture of someone who inspires you, you can do that. It's not necessary, but you can do that if you want to create a nice ambiance or aesthetic for you. Try to eat clean food at regular times, meaning not too much sugar or junk food or fried foods or overly processed foods. And most important, a mental attitude, enthusiastic, joyful, a sense of adventure, courageous. All of these things keep us enthusiastic about learning new things about ourselves while we're doing our practices. And then the last 2 things to keep in mind for rules are at the intensity. Don't be too intense or you're going to burn out. Just be enthusiastic enough that when you're doing it, you feel that your energy level can be maintained. And when you feel tired, then you stop. And the reason for this is the last one is that we're looking for a desired outcome. And that means that we're not doing a little more every day, and getting better and better every day, but that the outcome is when we're finished, we just feel a little better than when we started on that particular day. Maybe a little more energized, maybe more calm, maybe more focused, maybe more clear-headed. Any of those types of things, settled within, connected to ourselves, that we feel when we're done, we feel a little bit more of that than when we started. And that's pretty much the outcome we're looking for. We don't want to be exhausted. We don't want to feel like, oh, I wasn't good enough. We don't want to try so hard that we feel tense or stressed when we're done. So the outcome is, I feel a little better now than when I started the practice. And that will be a guiding point for you, because if you check in with yourself in that kind of a way, then you'll have this really interoceptive sense of how you're feeling and of how you're responding to the practices. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to respond to these practices in a positive way. Okay, and then naturally we go to deeper levels, and our awareness will start to naturally pull us inward as we set all of these external conditions. Okay, so this is some of the basics and the background of the practice of pranayama. I hope that you have enjoyed these classes, and you can again see them all on my Instagram, which is at Eddie Stern. You can watch them on The Chopra Well on YouTube. And that's all. We're going to start another series in about 10 days on breathing for COVID. Not to get COVID, of course, but breathing to help prepare, not even prepare, but breathing to strengthen the nervous system and support immune function through doing different breathing practices. Okay. So feel free to ask any questions, and I'll answer whatever I can. Okay, so if one of the nostrils is a little blocked, is this the effect functioning of the opposite side of the brain? Okay, so what happens with the nostrils is we have a tremendous amount of autonomic nervous system endings in the nostrils. And we have something called vasoconstriction and vasodilation, where the blood flow is going to move into one side and then release, and then move into the other side and then release. And this is just one of the patterns of the body called the ultradian rhythm. So this is natural for the blockage of the nostril to switch back and forth every, say, 90 minutes to 3 hours or so. It's not necessarily because of the function of the brain. There might be some brain influence there. And definitely the connection between the nostrils and the opposite hemisphere has been shown in scientific studies. But mainly it's just a normal pattern of the body. And so what we're doing is when we breathe back and forth through the nostrils, we're helping to support the regularity of the ultradian rhythm. And that's one of the things which is happening. Nora, you're interested in recapping the theory and the exercises for balancing of the vagus nerve and all of that. So hopefully I didn't do really a recap of the vagus nerve today, but I've written a book called One Simple Thing, a new look at the science of yoga and how it can transform your life. And in that I have a lot about the vagus nerve and respiration. So that's called One Simple Thing. You can check that out if you feel like it. Sarah, I'm not too sure about the notification for the next class. I believe they'll be announcing it on YouTube, but it will be about 10 days from now. Okay. So let's see, if there are not any other questions, then I will wrap it up. I see a bunch of people signing in from India, so happy Diwali or Deepavali for everyone from India. Sophia, my Instagram is at Eddie Stern, EDDIESTERN, Eddie Stern. Andrea, you can certainly use the resonance breathing from the breathing app for panic attacks. My sister, who has a panic disorder, uses that as well, and she finds it helpful. Her name is Amanda Stern, and her book is called Little Panic, which is about her panic disorder. Rose, you want to breathe through the left nostril to help encourage sleep. And Teresa, you have a hard time resting your breath after the exhale. It all depends. It's hard to say exactly what that is, but sometimes if you overbreathe or you try too hard, it's hard to feel restful when you're done. So maybe you can try the resonance breathing, which is inhaling for 5 seconds and exhaling for 5 seconds, just to keep everything even. and see if that makes you feel a little better. And you can try that just for a few minutes and then build up to, say, 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day, and see if that helps a little bit with that sensation of breathing. Elise, you can do the resonance breathing with alternate nostril breathing. And you can also do it with retention. But in the case of asthma, if you feel any tension or you feel that it's harder to breathe, don't do the retentions. Just simply do the alternate nostril breathing with resonance. Carol, Kapalabhati is not suitable for people who are pregnant, have a hernia, have had hernia surgery, have serious digestive disorder, or high blood pressure. But for all others, it is okay. The breathing through the left nostril is considered to be calming in the yogic tradition, and breathing through the right nostril is energizing. And this is according to the yogis. So Karina, the nostril breathing and the resonance breathing can be done with a hiatal hernia, but I wouldn't do Kapalabhati with hiatal hernia. Okay, last time, Sule, the title of the book is One Simple Thing. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you in about 10 days when we will continue with some other practices and some other type of science. And there's one last question again from Rupali about the left nostril and right nostril. So in the yogic tradition, the left side is said to be the cooling side, and the right side is said to be the heating or the energizing side. So when we're exhaling through the left nostril, it's very calming for the system. And a lot of what we were working on in these practices, we're dealing with stress, frankly, because there's a lot of stress in the world right now. So inhaling through the left, exhaling right, exhaling left is going to be balancing for the branches of the nervous system. Exhaling primarily through the left is going to be calming. And also it has been shown to improve our spatial awareness, our sense of where things are situated around us. And breathing through the right nostril is supposed to be energizing, good for activity, and is strengthening for cognitive abilities that are quite often function through the left hemisphere of the brain. Okay, so it's quite a big science, a lot of wonderful information on the internet. Again, Andrea, my name on Instagram is @EddieStern. The name of the book is One Simple Thing. And the free app for breathing is called The Breathing App. Okay, I'll put all of those into the comment description section on YouTube so you can see them there. I thank you all very much. We'll say one short prayer to conclude our classes. It's a Sanskrit prayer. I'll repeat it once in Sanskrit, and then I'll have you repeat it back after me in English. You can chant Om along with me if you like. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukinaha. Sarve santu niramayaha. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And in English, may all beings be happy. May all beings be free from disease. May all look to good in others. May none suffer from sorrow. Om, peace, peace, peace. Okay, I thank you very much. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and we will see you next time.